Garry the Lionheart, and let's be honest, he's a little heady with the aroma of success after a handful of early wins. In fact, the days are balmy. How is the coach, incidentally?
Oh, the coach is going along very well, Sam. I think having won a few games this year, you'd be enjoying it a lot more than last year when you hadn't had one on the board at this stage.
And we can remember his name, of course, can we?
I can remember his name. You always remember the important people, and the coach, you've got to remember his name.
But you did have a little trouble with the amnesia. In fact, you couldn't remember your wife's name.
I did have a little bit of trouble, Sammy, but as you could appreciate, having just the one wife, unlike your good self, it's easy to remember these things.
So can you remember what's happening next Tuesday, Garry?
I can, yes. The big game against South Australia over there, the State of Origin game, which is always an exciting time.
You might be captain of the side, Garry.
I wouldn't think so, Sammy. I just would very much like to be a part of it, because I think that we can beat those boys over there.
But still, you'll be able to chat about life in general with Teddy Whitten?
Yes. Well, if that opportunity comes along, I'll certainly jump at that, because he's a fine philosopher.
Now, some quick word association. Mastermind.
Oh, Alan Jakovich, one of the great minds of our modern times.
Football park.
A low IQ level collectively. That's what you wanted me to say, wasn't it?
Members of the MCC.
A fine, upstanding bunch of ladies and gentlemen who are prepared to stick with us through the good times and the bad.
Well, the captain of the D's, the mighty D's, has passed with flying colours. Thank you very much, Garry.
Always a pleasure, Sam.
Actually, I thought he had your measure there, Sam.
A philosopher too, Ted.
Sam, that's right. The Demons got home by 5 points. The total of 17 goals on a perfect day was an indication of a rather low standard contest. And right in the thick of things was prize recruit and one of the Magpies' best players, Nathan Buckley.
Game, I thought Melbourne played very complacent football. They tried to do far too much with the ball when it wasn't necessary, when it absolutely wasn't necessary. And there's Craig Kelly back in harness after being out injured, played a reasonable game, came off the bench a couple of times, but did some good things. And Alan Jakovich, one of the few good things Alan did, because he injured himself and came off the ground, so they'll wait with bated breath, the Demons, to find out. Now, here's a nice piece of rebound football from a mistake that Melbourne made from an unnecessary hand pass in the first place. And I thought the difference between these two sides was that Melbourne played unnecessary football to a certain extent, and there's the great man himself, the captain of Victoria, coming out and kicking a goal. And I think we'll see, and there's a great mark, an absolutely marvellous mark by David Schwarz, who kicked 3 goals for the game. And that there is a tragedy. Garry Lyon in the end took a very good mark, but Ballantyne just did his cruciate ligament just in the course of action. Finally, you'll see this goal here. That was from an advantage rule paid, which stunned all the Melbourne players, because the ball, they were waiting for it to go right back. That was the first goal that they kicked in the revival. And the only mistake Sean White made there was when he came out to tackle someone else's man. He came out to tackle Severio Rocker instead of staying on his opponent Watson. Staying on his opponent Watson.
That depends on how you've been coached.
And Dermot, never leave your man to go and tackle someone else's man.
What?
That depends.
You go and meet the man.
I tell you what, if you ask someone just to do a reflexive, instinctive thing, and that's hand pass over an opponent's head, they'll do it every time without having to think about it. But the further they run, the more trouble they'll have wondering what to do with the ball.
Exactly.
Nathan,
I believe if somebody's going to do that, you run out and meet them, you're going to get the ball go over your head anyway, and then you run through them.
You're a modern day
The went on is no good, they're weak.
I didn't say that. Never said they were weak. I would never say Collingwood were weak ever.
You're never wrong, are you? Never wrong.
I'll concede that I said that they're an ordinary football
You didn't say that. You said they lack courage.
I didn't say they're weak. They have tremendous... I didn't say they didn't have courage. I said they have tremendous commitment, but they have not much quality content in their football at the minute, and that was exemplified yesterday. If you don't think that Melbourne were twice as good a side as Collingwood yesterday, even with all the mistakes that Melbourne made...
I don't think you know much about football. You just say things for the sake of saying it.
They won by under a goal through absolutely complacent play by Melbourne, who just did far too many things with the ball and wasn't necessary to do as many things with the ball.